Welcome to Toque Talk, everybody. Episode 72.
Hey, guys.
We got Pink Noise in the house.
We do indeed.
What's up with Pink Noise?
They make a delicious cup of coffee, I'll tell you that
Sure
much.
do.
Why don't you tell us
How's it
about
going, guys?
Pink Noise? You share a name.
Pink Noise is my niece, Chloe. It's her management company.
That's right.
And she sent us all these cups. She is our business manager, and takes really good care of us. So if anybody needs artist management or business management, Chloe, hit up Chloe at Pink Noise.
Or if you need
And
an
their
awesome
motto-
coffee cup.
They have a motto. It says, "We focus," or they focus on the numbers while we focus on the music.
There you go. That's right.
That's a good thing for musicians because we're mathematically challenged half the time.
Exactly. We count to 4 many times in a row, generally.
That's it. That's all we can do.
Sometimes 5 when we play Rush.
Yeah, exactly. Except for Rush. That's why a lot of us can't play Rush, because it's like, whoa. It goes beyond the 4 here? Like 5? No.
How you guys been doing? I
Good,
missed
man.
the
How
last
are
couple
you?
shows. I'm great.
Man, we've missed you.
Everything's great. Yeah, I missed you guys too. Everything's cool.
Well,
Just, life, busy things.
Of course.
Crept
Yeah.
into the picture, and I couldn't make it, unfortunately. But
it's funny, as the world opens. As the world opens, 2:00 on Tuesday suddenly becomes kind of like, wow, okay. Trying to make it work is like, oh yeah, right. But it's always fun. Yeah. That's the important part.
It is fun.
I'm super busy now. Shane, I just talked to you this morning. You're super busy. So, but it's still fun to get together and do this.
It is, exactly. It's sort of the equivalent of, I don't know, bowling night. Like normal people go and do something fun together, play cards,
poker.
So, yeah.
Hey, let me let in Johnny come lately.
Oh.
Hi. A little bit
Look
late.
at that camera, bro. That camera looks fantastic. And that room, that backdrop.
Check it out. I'm in the lounge, Studio B at the Hideout, where we've done some fantastic Toque recordings.
That's correct.
So, it's in Vegas. We've all been here, but it's the home of Pink Noise Management.
What are you doing there? What are you doing at the Hideout?
Just got tired of doing it at my house. It's much nicer here.
That's true. That is true. Oh,
the memo?
And you guys got the matching shirts. I got a garbage shirt. I got a garbage shirt from the Alanis Morissette show you guys went to the other night. I wasn't there for it, but my wife picked that up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
What did I miss? What are you guys talking about?
My new coffee brand.
Oh,
is that the one that you hooked me up with, Shane?
No. This is This is actually my blend.
Ooh.
Silver Strand Sedation by Ventura Coffee Company. Shameless plug.
Wow.
Do it.
Yeah,
I've been actually going through their coffees. They have this awesome company in Ventura that roasts their own beans. They have all these different blends, and so I've been sort of mixing and matching some of their blends, and together we put together a little blend of my own.
That's amazing. Wow.
Cool. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Fun. And I think Brent, I think I sent you I can't remember what I sent you, but it's was it the Sumatra? Anyway, there's like 2 or 3 different blends in this. Yeah, same company.
Those guys they're killing it.
It's similar to that, like a dark roasty. That's what my jam is, like dark roasts. But anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hey, Brent. Is Chloe there in the building?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Get her to make an appearance.
Yeah.
Put a face to the name.
We've just been talking about her, so.
Okay. I'll ask her.
Ask her.
Send her a text or phone her. Yeah.
Okay.
In the meantime, Todd, you're talking to me about a new Star Wars series, Andor.
Andor. A friend just sent me I think it's based around the Rogue One era, kind of like characters. Yes. So it's coming.
Right. Hold on.
Oh, look who's here.
There
she is.
Hi.
Hey, Chloe.
Hang on.
Oh, you can't hear me. Okay.
That's
see?
Chloe
How's it going?
Churko. Thank you for the cups, Chloe, and your awesome attention to detail in our business lives.
She's like, I'm out of
Thank
here.
you for the cups, Chloe.
kinda
Sorry,
shy.
the speakers. She can only hear because I'm on the.
Oh.
I see. Yeah.
Okay.
She's busy working.
All right. We'll give her.
She
a hug
comes from
us.
showbiz, but she doesn't want to be in showbiz. She likes to be behind the scenes.
She's managing
Right.
it. Yes.
I mean, she's only
Cool.
11. I mean, how old is she? How
I
old
know,
is
she looks
Chloe
so
now?
young.
I know it. Yeah.
I bet she's almost 30.
I've known the Churkos since before there was a Chloe. Let's just say that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we got a good show today.
We do indeed. We're
Do we
very
have anything else to
excited.
talk about, or should we get right to it?
Let's get to it.
I think we should get to it. Yeah, we've had two. No, I'm sorry. You just corrected me on this earlier. We've had Sean Kelly, who's a newer member of Coney Hatch. We've had Andy Curran, one of the original members of Coney Hatch, and we had Barry Connors, who was around in phase Mach 2, I suppose. And
Yep.
now we've got
Friction.
we got the man. We got the man.
We got the man. So without further
Go for it,
ado,
Corey.
we're going to bring in Carl DIXON. He has got a great story. He's a front man of Coney Hatch, as you said. He's an inspirational speaker. We're going to hear all about that. And he's one of the best damn singers in rock.
He
Please
really is.
make
Agreed.
welcome
Sure is.
Carl DIXON. Woohoo!
Hey, boys.
Oh,
Play me in.
Carl.
Play me in. Play me in. I'll take my seat in the guest chair.
Exactly.
Johnny.
You need to kind of
Yeah.
come through the curtain. You know.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hey, Brett.
Hi, Carl.
How are you, man?
You guys know each other?
Yes, through our mutual friend Howard Klopak in Winnipeg.
Of course.
Howard.
Howard is
Carl, I've
sometimes
seen you-
our front of house sound man. Great guy.
That's
lives in
correct.
Winnipeg. Got a studio there.
I've
Yeah.
seen Carl in many
He's,
configurations. The Hatch, of course, back in the early days. I saw you when I was like probably at the arena, maybe
Yep.
Iron Maiden.
Wow.
Iron Maiden and Coney
That's
Hatch. Does that
right.
sound right?
Yep.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
I saw. I think it was two, like almost back-to-back tours. I think it was the Maiden Peace of Mind tour.
Yeah.
Were you guys on that?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
the
they
year
were-
before that, Judas
With
Priest,
Screaming for Vengeance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Both of
wow.
those took us across. Both of those took us across Canada and down into the States. You know, I never played any place in Winnipeg except for the Winnipeg Arena for years. Never saw a bar, never saw a club, never saw a theater. So it's funny how quickly you just start to think, yeah, that's our circuit, man. You know, this is where we always go, the arena.
It's amazing because that era of, for me, like that, those are like my formative years, going to see, Judas Priest Screaming for Vengeance tour at the Northlands Coliseum.
Yes, I think
18,000 people.
we have a lot to answer for and apologize for. We probably
No.
marred a lot of
And-
people's formative
Well,
years.
we were all like, so I'm from the prairies of, Alberta, and
Yeah.
we were way into Coney Hatch.
Yeah.
And so it was like, well, we're going to get to see kind of our local, because you're our guys with
Sure.
Priest, and then Maiden. It was like, oh, wow. And then you guys came out and just totally killed it, you're like right there with, the mighty Priest, right? So
We had a good little band.
it was
Yeah.
so cool. And just to live in that era and see it and feel it. And it was like, that's the initial inspiration for me to want to go do it for the rest of my life. It was like, it that instilled it in me. So it was really cool. to
Essentially,
see
he's
that.
saying it's Carl's fault.
Yeah. I was picking up on that.
Shane could have been a doctor or a lawyer or something,
Yeah,
but no.
could have done so much more with your life, Shane. Thanks, Carl.
Yeah, I many times over the course of this, at this point, lengthy career, have had to remind myself, no one ever put a gun to my head and made me be a musician. It was my choice all the way.
Absolutely.
I was
yeah.
actively discouraged at some points too, but they couldn't talk me out of it.
Without getting too geeky about it, Carl, like how was it when you got that tour? Was it like, yeah, we're going to do 40 shows with Priest. Like, was it just in that era when it was like, that was the biggest thing. I mean, that was the biggest music, and the biggest venues. I mean, it must have been something. I mean, I don't know. What was it?
Yeah, what he said. No, really. When we got our first album had been out maybe 6-8 8 weeks, maybe a little longer. And we had started doing shows in America for the first time to support it, because we were around the world on Polygram Mercury Records. Right. That was we were with Anthem and Rush's management SRO. So Ray's strategy always was keep Canada for himself on his label, and then do an international deal if he could, for the bands he'd signed. So yes, we were on around the world on Polygram Mercury. So that gave us the ticket into the States. And our first big shows, it seemed big to us, but we were playing on the concert club level with Peter Frampton and Eddie Money and Edgar Winter and people like that. And we were on the East. We just finished playing Toad's Place with Peter Frampton, actually, I recall. And we got that was in Connecticut. We got a call. You're on the Priest tour. You have to get up to the Colisée in Quebec by tomorrow night.
Wow.
Okay. So we jumped in our Econoline van, and we had a gear a cube van for the gear with the road crew driving that. And so yes, we hopped in the vans after the show, got to Quebec, and I've talked about this other places too, but the excitement of just walking, we'd always ever been spectators at a place like that before, out in that crowd. Suddenly we're behind the stage getting ready to walk onto it, and we're just out of our skins, so excited, because we were there for the pre-sound check, and that was they were just killing the arena, the old Colisée. And so then we go on, okay, we get to do a sound check on the big stage with the big gear. Oh boy. And then it comes to time for our opening set, and it was just us and Priest all through Canada and in the States too. So we got to play a full 45 minutes, being the only opening act, and that was great.
Nice.
And the lights went down, the crowd went, wah! And then whoever it was announcing us from the local radio station, I guess, Mesdames et Messieurs, and are you ready? And I looked out from behind, out into the crowd, and it was just a sea of, when everybody had lighters, it was a sea of lighters out there in the dark.
Wow.
From the floor up to the rafters. And it was the most beautiful, it was like a candlelight ceremony or something, welcoming us to the stage. We were so overexcited. I'm sure we played all our songs too fast and probably overshot the vocals, Yeah. But man, as I said earlier when we were talking about my first time in Winnipeg, it's amazing how quickly you just catch on and you start to feel, okay, this is how it's done. This is where we belong. This is our circuit now. So yeah, by show 3 at Maple Leaf Gardens, we were thinking, yeah, we got this figured out. And yet you come in for the hometown show, and there's people romping around the floor where we watch the Leafs play, and we're on the stage. And they got the Coney Hatch banners. The fans are walking around the floor before we start and waving them during the show. It felt like something out of a movie, really.
I bet.
So it was intensely exciting. And the more it went on, we went right across the country through all the arenas, Northlands Coliseum, we were
Corral.
The Corral, that was right, the Corral. And then we were at the PNE in Vancouver, and then down to the west coast of the States. And it just went great every night, except for one night in Seattle. And that was the only place on that tour where we ran into some difficulty. Every place else had, we were just breathing fire almost. We were so excited and on the money with our first album, and we recorded it just the way we play the stuff live. So there was no letdown, and we'd been just grinding it out in the bars.
You guys were already, that was what I was going to say, you were already on the road. It's tight.
Yeah, we were playing 6-7 nights a week, 3 hours a night sometimes, So,
sure, yeah.
So we had our thing down to just walk out on any stage and do what we did. And so it was going really well, but then we got to Seattle. And there was, they had the show on the old expo, what do they call it? World's Fair in Seattle. There was an Elvis Presley movie about the Seattle World's Fair. 1960, I think they had it there. Mm-hmm. So they had a special arena there that was built for the World's Fair. And it was a federal facility in a city park. So the city ordinances against fireworks and things and firecrackers and basically weapons almost didn't apply. So they couldn't be frisked. So when we came up to the arena in the afternoon getting ready for sound check, we could hear what sounded like bombs going off among the people that were just lined up to get into the arena. It was still, the doors were still closed.
Wow.
We asked one of the cops outside, we said, what's going on? This is crazy. He said, oh, those are M80 firecrackers. He said, I think they're about the equivalent of a tenth of a stick of dynamite, if I'm not mistaken. And people were just bringing these to fling around in the air, light off in the parking lot. I said, whoa, I'm glad they're outside. He said, oh, they'll be inside too. There's nothing to stop them. It's a federal facility, so we can't stop anybody on the way in.
Oh
so
wow.
We get out there on time for our stage. Before we walked on, we could hear these things going off. People in the rafters were throwing them down, so they went off over the heads of the people on the floor.
Jeez.
It's just terrifying. Wow. And then we walk out, and Seattle had, for some, maybe what it was because they were also nuts with the war zone conditions going on, bombs going off all around. They really had no patience for the pesky opening act from Canada. The whole attitude for the first time we experienced was, who are you? Get off! We want the priest, And
right. And that wasn't an easy band to open for anyway. Judas Priest.
No.
Maiden.
But in Canada, that was our first experience of a different attitude toward us.
Mm-hmm.
So we start the first song, and suddenly people are flinging hats, flinging coats, flinging chewing gum, and it's stuck to my guitar strings.
Oh no!
Waving. Oh, they had all those glow light things that
spinny things.
The concert, little green glow sticks.
Yeah.
These, I don't know if they still have them at concerts. I haven't lined up to stand in a crowd for a long time. But they were flinging those at the stage and they're bouncing off her heads. Meanwhile, we're trying to rock. Come on, guys!
Oh man!
Guys! So there were three. I told this story in my book, but it's a good one. The three little guys in the front row. Well, there was a little guy and then two older guys. Must have been his brothers or his brother and a friend or something. So the older boys are waving these upside down crosses at us, and they had drawn upside down crosses between their eyebrows because that was the devil worship supposedly thing that was going on with heavy metal music at that time. So they said, our parents hate this, we're doing it. So these kids are in the front row.
Those guys are definitely accountants now, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, probably. Yeah. They had their wild years. They had their wild years in the concert halls and then moved on. But they're waving these crosses at me and saying, fuck off, get off the stage constantly. And I'm trying to laugh at first. You crazy kids. And finally, okay, shut up. And meanwhile, the stage is just mounds of hats and coats and garbage and things people are throwing. Somebody had made a stink bomb in a little chocolate milk container.
Man.
And they threw it and it landed right on Dave Ketchum's drum riser next to him.
Oh, my God.
Yellow sulfur fumes are belching. He's trying to play the drums. And these fumes are going right up his face. It was the worst. And so our road crew was continually running onto the stage to pull all this clothing off and all the stuff that was thrown. And I'm getting pretty sick of the antics of these two little characters in the front row. So, but the one little guy between them, the little brother, was going, "You're good. I like you. Cool, man. You're great."
Somebody that actually came to hear some music.
One kid in the front digging it, but the others were pissing me off. And he was about this much lower than them in height. So those glow sticks kept landing on the stage. At the end of one song, I thought, I'm going to get those little buggers. So I used to play soccer. And I walked up to the stage at one of those glow sticks, and I went, poof, as hard as I could.
It pasted him right in the face.
Pew, off the little guy, my only fellow.
Oh, shit.
Off his forehead. Suddenly,
Oh,
a
no.
red dot between his eyebrows. Might have been blood. I can't remember. And suddenly he's going, fuck off. I hate you now.
Now the older ones
pissed them
surely
off, did
wanted
you,
to
Carl?
kill you.
Oh, they were all just my enemies at that point.
Oh man.
So, the road crew and all the stage techs from the Seattle Arena, they were looking at the pile of clothes that had been thrown at us at the end of our set, and they were saying, we won't have to buy clothes for a couple of years.
That's bad. Yeah.
So you did finish the set.
What's that?
You did finish the set?
Oh, we got through the whole set. We just toughed it out, gritted our teeth, our heads down. We're not going to be scared by you, mob,
Yeah,
What
exactly.
Did Priest have anything to say? Like Rob, he's like, don't worry about it, boys.
Oh, no. They weren't really compassionate kind of guys or empathetic. Rob, we saw the most. We saw the others after shows sometimes. And I remember I bought Glenn Tipton a beer somewhere because we ended up in the same bar after a show. And I was expecting, yeah, okay, I'll get to know Glenn. He goes, yeah, cheers. Walks away.
Oh, really?
But Rob actually rode around a couple of times from the hotel to the gig with us and was very chatty. Turned out, actually, he rather liked our bass player, Andy, we found out later on. That's
okay,
why
right.
he was so interested in just hanging with the young up-and-comers,
Well, we all feel that way about Andy, don't we? Right, guys?
Oh, of course. He's one of my oldest friends in the world at this point. We've been partners for 41 years.
There he is.
Oh, yeah, there we are.
It's so funny because you need the long hair Andy Curran. Is that a Van Halen shirt he's wearing? I think it's a Van Halen shirt.
Hang on.
Yep.
Is that from the combo or what?
There's long-haired Andy Curran.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's, yes, the 1 year that Barry Connors was out with us.
Did Barry Connors put out an APB for the rest of his shirt? What's going on?
That shirt is awesome.
You know what's funny?
And the beard thing.
So we attracted some very scathing reviews at the time that he was in the band. One of them talked about the Friction album cover. Kind of looked like this photo, actually. And some smart-ass kid from a college paper wrote, yes, Coney Hatch, a band comprised of 3 pretty boys and 1 ugly boy.
Come
on.
Which one do they think is the ugly boy?
Ouch. That's rough.
Yeah.
Totally.
We had funny rumors like that. The manager of the Killer Dwarfs actually said to me once, okay, there was a rumor that Anthem Records put you guys together as 4 pretty boys.
Really?
To just, that you really didn't even play on the albums and that you each got a $20,000 advance from Ray when you signed. Can you tell me if those things are true?
Oh, wow.
Come on.
Wow.
I was happy to reassure him, no, none of that's true. So
That's so funny.
Well, you really were all quite attractive.
That's right.
Oh, you say that to all the girls.
Exactly. Shelsky rocking
That's
the leather
what
pants.
guys looked like back in the day, right?
I was going to say that.
Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was straight out of our bars phase. I think we played the Gasworks the night before we did this photo shoot. We'd done one other earlier photo shoot that was supposed to be for the album cover. That's from the back of the first album cover, that photo.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
they said,
I remember this, yeah.
Yeah, so they said, the record company said, we don't like this photo shoot. There's no attitude in you guys, you don't look like it's just guys lined up in front of a camera. So the next shoot, they brought a case of beer. So that's a photo of 4 drunken guys.
That's funny.
Yeah, I can see that.
Look at Andy's face, you can see that.
I know, right? Yeah. And you look like you're about to say, you guys, what do you figure? One another?
Crack another
You
one.
look like you're about to say, Andy, lean the other way into the photo.
Andy, you're falling off the chair.
I was the only one sitting straight, I think.
My question is, can you still fit in those pants?
Oh, those pants went by the wayside a long time ago. I think I was probably a 29 then, and I'm about a 32
wow.
now.
Okay.
That's an acceptable amount of size and pants difference.
Well,
So
when you
how-
consider that was 39 years ago, that photo.
I was gonna say, how
Just
old
children.
are you there? You guys there? Early
22,
Yeah.
Yeah.
22 and 23. Shelsky was the oldest. He was 24 there, I think.
Okay.
Oh my
Yeah,
God! So you're really
the
young.
chest hair. He had more chest hair because he was older.
And this is those same four guys. Is that Shelsky on guitar in this photo?
Yeah,
Yep.
and Dave
Oh,
Ketchum
wow.
here next to me.
So
Yeah.
Yes, that's us.
Where's El
20
Macombo? Anything?
That's not the Alma Combo. I think that's 2012 at the Phoenix Club
Oh yeah.
Okay.
in Toronto.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How about that?
What kind of guitar is that?
That's a Lado custom made
Oh,
one.
okay.
We had an
Lado,
endorsement
sure.
with Lado for a couple of years.
Mhm. Yeah,
That was my metal machine for a while.
I like it.
EMGs looks like in there.
Yep, EMG pickups. That's right.
Spider-Man
That was a
shirt.
Canadian,
Spider-Man shirt all the way, man.
a lot of cool Canadian bands had Lado because I think it was a Canadian company.
Yeah, they
it
were
was,
based
yeah.
out of Unionville, just north of Toronto.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, highlight the Spidey senses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Iron Maiden actually played Lado guitars too, believe it or
We
not.
Right.
we went when we were friends with them. Well, we still are, but the next time they were through town, we went out to Joe Lado's house and set them up with their endorsement deals. So they designed.
Oh, wow.
They were all keen on designing their own guitars, and Lado would custom build them. And Joe Lado used it as a a promotion thing. Iron Maiden plays to Lado. So
You know, it's funny. I think by the time the next tour, like somewhere, I think it was somewhere in time. I'm talking Iron Maiden now because I was,
Yeah.
full Iron Maiden fan. I think they were playing Lado at that point.
yeah, because they had
that
come
would have
through
been
town around the start of
Around
that
the same
tour.
time.
Yeah, they'd come into Toronto
Wow.
around the start of the tour. Brent, you want to hold it down? We're trying to have a conversation over here.
I'm enjoying the. I'm just
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah, that was when they came into town. They got crazy paint jobs. They made wild shaped guitars.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I'm not sure how long they stuck with them.
There's
there's us with
Sean in the
Hey,
band
Sean Kelly.
Yeah.
because we had.
That's
Whoops.
okay.
Oh, this is
Oh,
my favorite
now
shot
we're
right
talking.
here.
Now we're
Oh,
gonna talk
okay.
hockey,
Holy
We're gonna talk
moly!
some hockey.
Wow, you dug that one up.
dude. What is that?
That's after my accident.
Okay.
My first time getting back on skates. God, you're making me choke up a bit here. Here in Halliburton, I was playing in 3 different old timers games a week, and that's some of the fellas that I used to go out with, getting dressed around me. I was just going out for the pregame skate to see if I could even stand upright because both my legs have been shattered. So
Wow.
I was so I was ready to give her a go, and from there I started going out every once in a while to the pregame skate and just trying out to see if I could build up my legs again, and that went okay because I was a pretty strong skater and stayed in shape all my life, and I was a runner and a swimmer and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
But after a few months, the guys that I played with, they watched me and said, "Carl, you're looking pretty good out there in the pregame. Dress next week." So I said, "Oh, no, I'm already. Come on, you look fine. You don't have. You can just stay out of trouble." So I did get dressed for the following week, and I scored 4 goals, and I'd never done that in my life.
Holy shit!
Wow.
And then
No way.
I could hardly walk for about a week after that because I had metal in
bet.
both legs, and it was just the worst strain on them. So
Wow.
I didn't stick with it much longer after that. And
I don't blame
I
you.
missed it because we used to play a lot of hockey. There was a period through the 90s where Andy Curran and I played a lot more hockey together than music together.
Isn't that funny? Wow,
Yeah.
that's so cool. That's the most Canadian thing
I
you could have
noticed.
said.
Andy definitely waves the Blackhawks flag a lot. I see with
Yeah, he's a
definitely
Blackhawks guy.
fan.
Yeah, he's got the tattoo on his ankle. He's got the emblem on his base. He's a real suck that way.
He's got a Bobby Clark tramp stamp. He's got the.
Wrong team.
So how,
Oh, sorry,
how
that's
hard
the
was
Flyers.
it for you? How hard was it for you to get on the ice and sort of navigate on the ice with just one eye? Because now your depth perception is going to be off. Is that right?
There's a lot of things I had to learn to do differently. I can just about catch a ball now if someone throws it to me.
Okay.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, there's a number of things that really I just had to learn to turn my head that extra bit but
Right.
it's really easy to sneak up on me from this side. if you ever need to take me by surprise.
Note to self.
Yeah. If we're in the same room.
Yeah.
So yes, getting out on the ice, it was really the last thing on my mind was how the vision would affect it, because
Right.
my legs had been shattered. In fact, they were going to amputate the left one.
Oh wow!
They decided.
I guess we should back up a little bit, because a lot of people that our audience doesn't.
Yeah,
really
we
know.
skipped about 35 years there.
Yeah, and I know you've talked about it a lot, and you can say as little or as much as you want, but it's a big part of your story, right? So
yeah,
and the craziest part is being like away from home when this occurs. Even when hearing the story, I was like, oh man, it's one thing to go through this, when you're in the hospital in your hometown or even Toronto, but to be going through it was it Melbourne? Was that where you ended up?
Yes, Australia. Yes, Melbourne,
Australia. Yeah. So you're down there with your daughter, who's an actor and working over there.
Yeah.
And his wife is from there, correct?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
My wife, no, there was a different lady in the picture at that time.
Okay.
It's a complicated story and not a pretty one.
Okay.
But
yeah.
It involves me being about the biggest blind fool in history, and not realizing until I paid a whole lot of consequences for just.
Oh, boy.
Okay, well, whatever you say, dear. So, So I was visiting Australia, and very upset about. I was only there actually because I was trying to save the family, save the marriage. I thought.
Okay.
I was with the Guess Who at the time, appearing in the role of Burton Cummings, and
that's right.
And the messages I've been getting were that during the 6 months away in Australia, my then wife with our daughter, she started to say, I don't know if this is going to work in the long run. And, I'm not sure that we're coming home even. What?
Oh, wow.
I'm on the road with the Guess Who, trying, keeping the livelihood going. And you're telling me this? So
wow.
the guys in the band kindly gave me some time off to just whip down there and see what's what. And I only had a few days, and I didn't feel like it was going very well. So I reached a fever pitch on the way home I was in a studio in Melbourne all that day of the accident, working on music for the TV show that my daughter was in.
Right.
And I felt like I had this one last night to, make a good impression that, hey, I'm not an idiot. We can keep this going, right, guys? And I got lost for just over and over, and just driving around Melbourne, the ring road in a circle. I couldn't find my way out to where I had to be. So I already had all the stress of worrying about the family situation and the marriage situation, and then feeling like oh boy, I'm looking even more like an idiot now. And so, and that's the last thing I remember is pounding the steering wheel and saying, idiot to myself, right?
Oh,
Negative self-talk, very, very bad thing. And I forgot, once I got off the freeway and I finally found my way toward home, I forgot they drive on the other side of the road in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. That's all it took.
Yep.
And
it wasn't GPS.
I couldn't blame this one on the GPS. No.
Right.
It was that, and because I do this public speaking and inspirational speaking you talked of, I came up with a term. I was emotionally impaired.
Sure. Yeah.
Because my feverish emotions and worries and sped up thoughts took me right out of where I was into this place in my head of worry and stress. And so I didn't even, we've had those moments where you drive across the prairies for 10, 15 minutes and you think, I don't remember anything about the last 15 minutes. You get so into your thoughts.
Totally,
so that's where I was. And I forgot to, when I left the freeway, I was just, in my thoughts, but following all the other cars on the correct side about the Australian road. But when I left the freeway, I was on a 2-lane dark highway with no other traffic and no lights. and no indicators of any kind. So I just drove by rote from after my many years of experience here in North America, the way we do it at home.
Yeah.
And I pulled into the right side of the road rather than the left side where I was supposed to be.
I was just in Bahamas, not to cut you off, but I just it's so easy to do. I did it. I was there 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, okay, we got to pay attention. We're on the left side of the road.
Yeah.
It was like 10 minutes. Oh, wow, look at the beach. Oh, man. And went around a roundabout, and then next thing you know, I was on the right-hand side of the road going, oh, fuck, get back.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I always
It's
think
easy
about
to
that
do.
every time.
It's easy to do.
Oh boy, yes. And the left turns, when you're on that wrong side of the road.
Yeah. Oh, I never thought about that. Yeah,
So
that'd be
weird.
a whole.
I wouldn't drive. I'd be scared.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's fine. No, I've often observed that when you get me going, you can't shut me up. So
No, please go.
Interruptions are welcome.
This is all fascinating. Yeah.
Fascinating.
So yes, I just started driving on the wrong side, unthinkingly, no awareness of it at all, and that lasted about 1 minute until some guy coming home, and I just picked up highway speed because you could drive 100K on this road. Some guy coming home from work in a big Range Rover, Land Cruiser, whatever. There's this great big car that they use. He was a surveyor, and I was in a little Toyota Corolla. So we hit head on, and his car was so much bigger that it came up my hood and over the roof of my car. We didn't bounce off each other.
Oh my God.
There's the evidence.
Oh my God.
That was me right there.
Good Lord. Right. Because you would have been
Where
on the right side of the car.
where the black stuff is, that's the side I was sitting on.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm looking over the other side. Yeah. Wow, man.
Yes, because the guy, I remember nothing about it to this day because it was so sudden. It was in the dark, and I didn't see him coming. Apparently, the police told me later he had about 2 seconds to react. I would have had about 1. We were both at 60 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour on impact. So yeah, I was torn to pieces. Whatever that would take, 2 seconds maximum for that car to go over and then keep going. His undercarriage grabbed my arm. We deduced that I had enough time to do this because I still had all the teeth, but my face was torn apart. This side of my face was crushed. Massive blow to the prefrontal cortex, I guess, is that located there. And I had a spinal fracture, C7. This arm was dislocated, so it was pointing the wrong way.
My God.
Plus, it was gashed here, almost severed through.
Jeepers.
And so they were going to amputate here when they first. Oops, let's see the camera. They amputate here because this arm is so torn apart. You can still see the damage there.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's metal through both bones still to this day. And they were going to amputate my left leg, and my right femur was shattered. So there were a lot of things for them to deal with right away just to save my life. And it took almost 2 hours to get me out of that wreck.
Fuck, how did you live that long just to get, that's
every time this comes up, not every time, but the way you just said that, I got the chills up my spine again. You touched something deep in me, I guess. Because as I say, I don't remember it, but people have told me stories about how I just had enough consciousness to say, please, you have to help me when some people came along. Wow. And my arm. So I was torn apart. Blood was gathering on the floor of the car because it was just gushing out from me from about 30 different openings.
Oh my God.
God.
So the first people on the scene were the local fire and rescue service, volunteer force from a little town nearby. Just luck of the draw, They were one of the two women that came along was a nurse, so she was able to help. Then the next people just happened to be the captain of the fire and rescue and his daughter, who was just graduating paramedic school.
Oh.
So they knew
Lucky.
what to do immediately to try and at least keep me alive.
Stop
And-
the bleeding, because
Yeah, well, they
first thing you
really
would
do
bled to
that
death.
because I was trapped in the car.
Right.
So they were actually, when the trucks arrived from the fire and rescue, they were putting plasma as quickly as they was gushing out. They were putting another bag in. That's why they always say we should give blood. Well, that's one of the reasons.
Right.
Someone like me, who's gushing blood as fast as they can put it in.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So that was quite an ordeal, I gather. I was torn to bits, and I've seen crazy photos of them getting me out of the car and into the air ambulance, where I'm wrapped up in a blanket, and because they couldn't handle my legs, they wrapped a belt around my feet to hold them together and then lift me by the end of the belt onto a stretcher. And then,
I'm sorry, but you were actually conscious in the car at some points?
when it was first stopped, yes, apparently my car went and then stopped dead, because there was a witness just behind me who saw it happen. So she came along, and when she came along, I was able to say, "Please, you have to help me." Okay. And then the next lady that came along, the nurse, she said I was able to say, "My name is Carl," and what day it was.
Wow.
And then after that,
but you don't remember any of this, right?
I don't remember anything. Not the impact.
Thank goodness for that, right?
What's that?
Thank goodness for that.
I call it nature being merciful. Actually,
yes.
If I had that as a video to play over and over in my mind, it probably wouldn't have been that enjoyable.
No, I don't imagine so. No.
Totally. So then they take you to the hospital, and you're in a coma for 10 days.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 38 hours of surgery.
Induced coma, or was it like you were just in a coma?
I believe, well, I was not senseless. So I think they did the induced coma to ensure that they could just keep providing me with the means to my lungs to continue functioning.
Right.
And I had tubes coming out of me all over the place to really electronically keep my system functioning. And
you
by
said
the time I woke up, I had 8 different drainage bottles attached to me from blood and fluids that were coming out.
So we got to say that again. 38 hours of surgery.
Yeah, there was one 19-hour session where they dealt with all the most crucial stuff. Then they realized my body needs a break, so they stopped for a couple of hours. Then they did another 19 hours.
God, jeez.
Damn.
And, yeah,
I've never heard a story like that in my life. I've heard
so
lots of.
crazy.
I have friends that are paralyzed, but like a 38 hours of surgery, and I mean.
yeah. I'm still here singing and playing and talking and standing upright.
I know.
Playing great.
Scoring.
I mean, this
And
is
scoring
what
Your
for
singing
goals.
is not. Your singing as good as ever.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, you know. It's almost like after that dramatic incident, and you know, I have the self-effacing sense of humor, I guess, and so I used to say, some people will do anything to get on TV, because of course there were news items around me on print and television and radio and all that. But it was like once and when I was first recovering, I had no idea whether I'd ever be able to play again or not. It was so bad.
Right.
I had no idea whether I'd be able to stand up again or not. They thought I might wake up a quadriplegic.
Right.
They are trying to stand up.
Spinal fracture. That's me in the physio hospital. They had to peel all my hair off because my head swelled up the size of a basketball.
Really? Wow.
Yes, there's a hole they had to drill in my head just on the other side where you can't see there.
Yeah.
How long after?
Incredible.
How long after was this shot?
That's 4 months after the accident, maybe.
Carl, did you stay in Australia that whole time?
I was in the hospital in Australia 5 to 6 months. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah.
Wow.
And then I finally got that, that feeling that you were talking about, Todd, of it being hard to be away from home for something like that. I started to get the feeling more and more, I gotta get out of here and get home and back to life as it was before, as much as I can. So I apparently am rather a stubborn and hard-headed kind of guy, because I made it my mission to just get well enough to demonstrate I'm strong enough that you can let me go. And yeah, it was the worst sort of sham fakery that I pulled off and I think they knew, but they also said, oh boy, it's probably not good for his mental health. They wanted me to stay at least 2 months longer than I did.
Oh, is that right? So how long were you before you actually escaped to Canada?
I was in Australia between about 5.5 months, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a long hang.
Well, especially, I had the family crisis that I came out of my coma and started being aware of again. And the day after the accident, I was scheduled to get on a plane to rejoin the Guess Who in Biloxi, Mississippi, and pick up my job again.
Yeah.
So I had this feeling of can't let everyone down also driving me, this is another thing I've learned that I talk about in my inspirational speaks. We have a lot more capacity and energy and willpower in us when we're doing it for somebody else, it seems, than when we're doing it just for ourselves.
I bet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We go deeper because the relationships mean so much to us, and we don't want to let these people down that are counting on us or think well of us or need us to be back and ready, Yeah. So part of that was driven by I can't let the band down. I have to get back as fast as I can, because I heard later they were devastated when the news got back to North America.
Sure. Yeah.
I had the agent calling me in tears. I thought you were some kind of Superman. I can't believe this has happened to you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all your friends and family and just all your.
Yes. And so there was much to learn. You can learn a lot from a thing like this if you live to tell the tale.
I can't imagine. Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah.
And Andy promised you would make a new Coney Hatch record if you got back on your feet and all that. That's so maybe that might have been part of. Yeah.
When I was in the coma, he called the hospital and had them hold the phone up to my ear. And he said, come on, Carl, you got to get better. The Hatch still has lots of rocking to do. And we hadn't played a show in years at that point.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
We all had gone so far off in our own directions that it seemed like it was really not in the cards. But he had that, well, I'll call it love, and that power of our relationship and all our many years and experiences together, that he felt somehow that would mean something to me. And it did, because even though I was in a coma, I remembered it when I woke up.
Right? Yeah. I think a certain amount of that, do you think there's a certain amount of Canadianism to the fact that it's like, well, I can't let the guys down. It's kind of like I got to get better and make sure I go and, do this and that. It seems like such a crazy thing to consider. And anybody would say, no. It's about you. You need to get better. You have a lot of work to do here. Let that go on and be what it's going to be. But no matter how true that is, you don't like lying there feeling like, well, now the Guess Who or whoever is back home has to move on and do their thing without you. That sucks. You know what I mean? And
yeah, certainly it was a factor. It was a factor in my decisions. It was also a factor in my pushing myself hard, probably in some ways beyond what I really should have.
Right.
But I haven't paid any long-term price for that. There was some additional pain that I probably could have skipped, but but I just felt like I have the strength. I can do this. When I first woke up, I couldn't even turn in the bed on my side without the help of 2 nurses. That's how broken I was.
Wow. Yeah.
And it was months before I could even get around in a wheelchair on my own. They got me a motorized wheelchair after a while.
Wow.
So from there to after some period of weeks and a few months, I got to the feeling that I can do this.
Yeah.
Oh, are we getting the message that something's stopping here?
Somebody's calling for Brent. He's popular.
Oh,
My phone's already blowing up. And by the way, Eddie Trunk has sent his regards already to you. He's
Eddie!
I've already,
What a
I'll
guy.
check in later.
Yeah,
Hey, we got a comment. There's some comments on the side. All kinds of people are chiming in while you're
I
talking
haven't
here.
seen that.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
please share some.
everybody's resonating with your
I mean,
story.
The profoundly to me, the fact that you come out of this and you have your wits about you. I mean, right? There's
No kidding.
you could have easily been in a vegetative state. And normally that would be the case, right? Having a blow to the head like that and having it swell up to like a basketball. And then for you just to be able to sort of like have everything intact that way, right? Mentally, I'm assuming at that
Hey,
point.
As far as I know.
Corey, do you see that message from Johnny, who's an EMS? And he says, there's the gold. Do you see that, Corey, the golden hour? Johnny's an EMS, ambulance in Winnipeg. And he says the golden hour, which is the most crucial time after traumatic injury. There you go. Took 2 hours. So your survival on that it's unbelievable right there.
Yeah.
But it is an amazing. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's 2.5 hours by the time they got me from the air ambulance into the trauma unit at the hospital.
Wow.
Right. But it is an amazing thing and an amazing commentary on the human body that someone can slip and fall in the shower and be gone. You know what I mean? And you can go through something that traumatic and come out the other side as long as that journey has been for you. And to be sitting here talking to us, and for all intents and purposes, looks exactly like the Carl DIXON we all just looked at in those old photos and get up on stage and stand toe to toe with anybody and rock. I'm like, it really says something about you as a person and the strength of will. I commend you, good sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
What about the new Coney Hatch? Of course, that happened too. The new music.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, based on what Andy had said, the 4 original guys got back together. I wasn't capable of doing anything like what I'd been doing prior to the accident for about 2 years. As much as I tried to fool myself, and the Guess Who said, let me know, we think we have to move on. We can't wait. And I talked them out of it on the first try. I said, no, you're making a big mistake here. I'll be ready, So that worked once. And then the second time they said, no, we really can't wait, because they realized more than I did that I wouldn't be ready. And, a couple of things have changed in the band in my absence, as they always do. You remove yourself from a situation, it evolves into something new.
Yeah.
So that was a very bitter pill to swallow, that after all that, they had decided, sorry, Carl, we can't wait.
Right.
We'll let you go, replace you. So I took that very hard. But at the same time, I have to be thankful for the motivation that it did provide me, that pulled me forward like a tractor beam kind of through all the really tough days and nights that I went through. And what you said about my head getting smashed in, really, this whole side was smashed. I have titanium all around here and false eye on this side. And there's a hole here where the hair doesn't grow anymore. Otherwise, I have the full complement of what I had before. But I had such a hard time getting through that. And I realized much after the fact, self-diagnosis, I had post-traumatic or post-concussion syndrome, because my head had just been walloped by a car hitting me in the head.
Yeah.
So that's what I said for a while as a way to just deal with it. I was hit in the head by a flying car. What do you expect?
God. Well, it does make you think, like, had it been an inch either way, it would have taken your head off or something. I mean, it's just crazy to consider.
As I said, I did have a C7 fracture from my head going like that, I guess.
Oh my God.
So they thought, they thought I could wake up a quadriplegic from that after when I came out of the coma. They had no idea what kind of condition I would be in. They realized after the first 19-hour surgery session, that I was going to live at least, but they had no idea what I'd be like when I did.
Totally.
And a huge part of the difference between where I could have ended up and where I did end up was up here, the thought process. What I told myself, the habits I had built throughout my life of how to just keep going. We all know this one, no matter what the crazy music business throws at you, find a way to just keep going.
Yep, that's for sure.
That's a pathway that I certainly drew upon to keep going through this greatest of all tests I'd ever been handed.
Mm-hmm. I bet, yeah. That's actually a good point. That sort of musician survival thing can just kind of kicks in like times 10. Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then you went on an inspirational talk sort of circuit and that sort of thing. And obviously with COVID, that sort of went by the wayside, but are you going to get back on, do some of that stuff or?
Oh yeah. It's something I really enjoyed because as you can tell, I love the sound of my own voice. Yeah, 300 people there sitting there hanging off every word you say. What a trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I felt like once I got this together, and some people said to me, you could, before it was ever determined whether I'd be able to get on a stage again, some friends of mine said, you could become a speaker and just share your stories if you really won't have the physical ability to get up and sing big voice like you did, or even stand with an instrument. Nobody knew for the first year, at least year and a half, what capacity I would return to. So that's where the seed was planted. And I thought, well, okay, so I better think of something to say if I'm going to do this. So it really then became, I'm pretty analytical minded anyway, I guess. So it became a process of thinking about all the aspects of what I'd been through, what I'd learned, what led to there, what followed. And the key hook that I guess I came up with at the centerpiece of a lot of my talks was something I learned to call START, which is an acronym for when you go through something, the big one hits, as I say, you stop, think, accept, renew, and then thank.
Mm. Wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You stop, just don't try to just jump, when you take a hit on the ice or when you're playing sports or something, or you fall down off a ladder. You don't just try to jump right back. Oh, I'm good. No. You stop, assess what just happened. Okay.
Right.
You think about the implications of this. What does it mean? What do I have to do? How badly am I affected? You accept as the third stage, rather than be in denial about it. Accept the reality of the situation. This is what it really is. Don't fool yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to people around you. Accept how it really is. Then renew. Find that purpose, that goal that starts the engine up again. And you start to build your capacity up bit by bit, slowly, catchy monkey. And then finally you thank everyone around you that's been a part of this, because by God, there was so many people. I heard from people around the world that I had no idea even cared whether I lived or died. As well as fans and as well as friends and family and associates. And that is energy, that is fuel, that kind of input just is something to throw into your engine. And you've got to be thankful, because none of us succeeds alone, right? We're in a band, we're in a company, we're in a team, we're in a class. We don't exist in isolation in this society. There's no such thing as the self-made man. You have to have a society in place to succeed in, and that's all composed of other people. You don't just get handed. You don't just draw these things from thin air. Somebody made the resources that you're using to become the self-made man. You have to have other people to care what you're even doing. And that's
Of course.
intrinsic. So you have to be thankful to all these different levels, not just the people that directly helped you, but especially those people that directly helped you. But just be aware of the gratitude of having a place on this beautiful planet. And my God, if that's not worth scrapping for all you're worth, I can't think of anything that is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah,
Well
That's
said.
Wow.
profound, man. That's some
Profound
profound
indeed.
shit. But that's just nailing it, man.
yeah, it definitely puts a lot of, there you go, Chantal. It definitely puts a lot of, like that sort of, when, say before you were in the accident, and all that kind of stuff, when you're backstage and like, I said, no brown M&Ms, that kind of behavior. And then you actually have real things that occur in your life that make so many other things just seem so trivial. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think we've all had that happen, not to your extent, obviously, but you definitely have to take that step back and be thankful and find your gratefulness for all this stuff. Cause it's
And the fact that you're out sharing this story, man, I mean, it's so awesome that we have people like you to share this, because this is the real shit that inspires,
It definitely, do you think it's the kind of thing where, you survive something like this and this is why you survive something like this? So you can inspire, you can.
When you're looking for the meaning of why did I survive, which I agree with you. My story is the worst story I've ever heard. And yet, here I am. And so you look for the meaning of why is this? Why am I spared from any number of more difficult results?
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that if I don't share what I've learned to help other people at this point, it's a sin. It's just, I am not living up to the opportunity I was given to stay with you all.
Absolutely. What was that first day like when you picked up the guitar and all the things that you'd learned in muscle memory of playing, whatever jumping jack flash or whatever the hell it was the first time you picked up a guitar? Was it surreal, like, to feel a starting over point, or was there anything there that you could draw upon, or how did that work?
It was amazing. My first instrument was piano when I was a little boy.
Okay.
And my daughter, because I only had this part of me, my left arm, and where's the camera? Left hand, left arm was the only part of me that was unhurt in the accident. Everything else, demo.
Wow.
So I could still play with my left hand. My daughter bought me an electronic keyboard to have in the hospital room with me. So I was doing some playing, and then even though my right hand, you could still see through to the bone through a hole in here that refused to heal for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, the surgeon said, well, I'm just stringing these ligaments or tendons back together like a guitar. I'm hoping they're all in the right place, but there's so many.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And then that first time that you actually were okay, my body's a mess, but does my voice still work? What was that like?
My voice, geez.
So did you tape a pick onto your...
I actually, my hand was so swollen, it swelled up like a baseball catcher's mitt.
Really?
Times its size. And I still can't make a full fist. But I used to have occupational therapy where this big guy, great guy, would use all his strength, try to bend my fingers downward because they were absolutely paralyzed.
Holy.
Would that hurt?
My hand was all broken. So I could not close my thumb and forefinger enough to hold a pick.
Man,
so I got a felt pick, like the ukulele kind.
Okay, yeah.
Mac tacked, or I forget what the sticky stuff was, the blue stuff, on my thumb and my forefinger, so I could at least just try and strum very lightly. And in the meantime, I started to get more play out of this hand, and I realized, I can play the piano that my daughter got me. I remember the chords now, and so I actually composed this great sort of R&B song with I somehow recorded the melody. It had this looping thing in it, and it was this almost like an Al Green song. I thought, what a great song! I gotta do something with that. So, if you guys have any ideas, send them my way.
Yeah, exactly.
I still haven't done anything with it. So I got music therapy in the hospital, and the lady there gave me a guitar because I didn't have mine. And so she said, well, how are you doing? So I tried it out, and I figured out a few things, got my hand going. She said, can you teach me how to play Blackbird?
Wow.
I said, well, my hand barely works, but let's see what we can do here.
Wow.
Yeah, and the first time I sang, I actually did a couple of thank you performances for the people, for the staff and the doctors and the patients around me. The doctors said at this hospital said I was the most motivated patient they'd ever seen go through their hospital. And
Obviously.
I thought that's weird, because wouldn't you, when you're in a hospital, wouldn't you just want to do whatever it takes to get out? And that to me, do whatever it takes to get out of here, you know. But a lot of people just kind of got there and they settled in. Yeah, it's all right, man. I have to go work. This is all right. You know, they bring me
exactly.
You know? So I did a couple of thank you shows in the cafeteria of the hospital, and some of the therapists on the first day, I played Pinball Wizard, because even though my arm was still raw and red and the holes had just closed up, I started doing that with the strumming pattern, and the therapists are watching my hand, and then I finish the song and they jump up and high five each other. That's our hand, man.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's impressive. A lot of people can't do that without it. Just I can barely play that
exactly.
song.
A gaping hole to the bone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's funny how these things they just pop back up when your memory allows it to, I suppose. So yeah, that's what I sang. I really had only about a half voice at that time. Still pretty much my range within reason, but I had no power when I first was coming out of the hospital. So that took a while to return. Because I collapsed lungs as well in the accident. And lacerated liver and bruised duodenum and all kinds of stupid stuff. So.
And has that had any sort of lasting effect on your voice to this day?
I sing better than I ever have in my life. And I can't account for it, except that I guess it all means more to me now than it did.
There you go.
And I'm bringing more to every note I sing now.
Here's the proof. Here's the proof of that. If you guys haven't listened to this album, you should check it out, because it's some of your best stuff, I would say.
I think so too.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. There's some songs on here I'm very proud of, and I did all the vocals on it in my home studio here.
Great.
And, worked with a German partner named Robbie Bobel, who what was his? Oh, he had a well-known German band. I can't remember their name at the moment, but great writing partner. He would come up with these guitar tracks and demos, send them to me. I'd write the lyrics and do the vocals, and then we constructed it back and forth that way. And I don't know if you guys remember the old band Santers from Toronto, but
you know what? I was just going to bring it up that there's no one that sings like you except for one person, and he's in Canada as well. I think you guys sound a lot alike. And
Rick Emmett, who's a friend of mine, said to me, you kind of remind me of Rick Santers. But his brother Mark, who was the drummer for Santers,
right,
was on this album with me, as well as Larry Gowan's son Dylan, who's Larry's a dear friend, and his son Dylan's a really nice drummer. So they each did half of the album.
Great, that's exciting.
Amazing. So you and Rick are friends?
Yeah, for many years. I was going to host a TV show for a brief time out of a station in Barrie. It never got off the ground, but that's where I got to know Rick, because I did probably 2-3 hours of interview footage with him at his house in Mississauga. And
wow.
Then we stayed. That was back in 90. 93. We had opened for Triumph in the Coney Hatch days, but they were big stars. They wouldn't talk to us little peons then. In fact, it was probably the old story where the headliner just gets there in time to walk on the stage.
Exactly.
There was no interaction between us, but that was okay. We had to move on to the next town very quickly anyway. But Rick and I stayed friends all these years, and we've done shows a few times together where I do my solo acoustic show and he does his. And in fact, I tricked him into joining our Rock and Roll All-Stars hockey team, the charity team we had back in the 90s.
Oh, really? He plays too? That's cool.
Yeah, he would tell you he doesn't, but he was game. He was more of a basketball player, but he did it because I asked him to, and he thought it might be fun to try something a little more macho. And so the one time I lost my temper in all those charity games we had, so we were playing at the Apotex pharmacy team for a fundraising thing, and one of them nailed Rick. They're friendlies. One of those guys just stepped into Rick and he limped off the ice. My hip, jeez. And I'm feeling so guilty because I'm the guy that talked him into doing this. And now he's leaving his cripple as far as I know. So that was the one time I got really mad and I went after the guy who did it. And the refs were sympathetic because I stayed they threw the other guy out. So
that's what you do in hockey. That's just what you do. Yeah.
There's always one of those guys that takes things way too seriously.
I know.
Friendly games.
It's kept me off the ice, frankly. I'm always like, I don't want to be the, going. I really enjoy it, but it's like I just don't want to get that one hot dog who's, his wife yelled at him that morning and he's going to crush me on the ice and put me out of work for 6 months while my arm heals.
I think you on skates, Kearns, you're like 7 foot tall, though. No one's going to mess with you.
Yeah, that might be true. Yeah.
Oh, they low bridge you like crazy, probably, if you were out there.
That's exactly it. Then they take you out. I'll go, head over heels, smack my knee or something. Anyway, that's great, though. No, it's really.
I was going to say, Canadian guys can talk about hockey all day long if you let them. So.
yeah,
totally.
Generally, that's true.
Who's your team?
I liked the Blackhawks when it was the Tony Esposito, Pat Stapleton, Bobby Hull era. I became great friends with Pat Stapleton. In fact, that's the last time I was in Winnipeg was with Pat.
Wow.
No way.
Or a Team Canada 72 theater event. They were doing appearances in a few theaters to some of the former players going around and talking about the series and the games. So Pat was like kind of a father figure to me since we first met in 91, I guess.
So cool.
And yes, we lost poor old Pat to a stroke during the pandemic, so there still hasn't even been any sort of ability to have a service or a ceremony for him. But yes, but that was my team for a long time, and then inevitably the Leafs, because of where I live, took over my attention. But it was a good time. It was the Darryl Sittler, Lanny McDonald, Borje Salming, Mike Palmateer, Ian Turnbull, all those guys. It was, they were, they had a lot of character, that team. And they were like, ran to Montreal every year. If Montreal hadn't been a powerhouse, we all think, boy, the Leafs could have done so well. But Montreal goes, get out of here, you pesky little mosquitoes. So after the Leafs had so many years of futility, I decided I just want to see good hockey.
Yeah.
Their team's playing well. That's who I want to see. So,
Glenn's pointing out the Hawks have Fleury now, so it could be great. They got Fleury.
Oh, really? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Knights are going to feel that, I'm afraid. We'll see how that goes.
Leonard doesn't look like your reliable guy that you want to believe in every day and every night of the year.
You know what? They have Brossois from the Jets, and I think he's going to be the secret weapon.
There you go. There you go.
We'll give him a shout out. Yeah.
Okay.
Where's he from?
So he's actually a Vancouver Island guy, but he's French Canadian, and
cool.
So the Knights always have, even look, every team
they've been able to find talent
this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Jets
they've
look
been great.
different. I love the Jets. I like the Knights. I always say that. Todd and I have been to, our share of games, and we like the Knights because we live in Vegas and we're so happy.
Yeah,
hockey
that's exactly
exists.
Yeah, but about those helmets, guys.
Here we
Don't
go.
talk about the gold helmets. Well, I like the
helmets,
red
I don't
alternate
know what that
jerseys.
is.
though. I do like the red ones.
Yeah.
But
Well,
let's
it
talk
is
about
Vegas.
jersey. Hey,
It's so
the
showbiz.
Blackhawks jersey is the best. The Blackhawks jersey is always my favorite NHL jersey
timeless.
of all time. It
I think
is
it's the
timeless.
best sports jersey of any sport.
I think
Yeah.
so too.
And
Yeah.
good thing
Never
they
changed.
changed the name because there's been a lot of name changes. I can't get over the Edmonton Elks playing in the CFL. It don't work for me. It just doesn't
That's
work.
interesting. Yeah, that's a whole other
Yeah.
conversation.
wonder
I've had
if the
two. I got
Blackhawks. I was going to say, I wonder if
What's
the
that?
Blackhawks have had any pushback about the indigenous people kind of thing. Like a lot of what's going on.
I'm not sure,
around
yeah.
sports.
Yeah.
You never know.
I guess. Yeah.
Ask Andy; he'd know.
Andy will
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
Andy he'll be well invested. Yeah, exactly. So what's I assume your 2021, like everybody else's, has been confusing and challenging, as 2020 was a complete write-off. Have
Actually,
you?
I've done okay considering
Yeah?
compared to many other musicians who, I've been a full timer for many years. Although there were a couple of lean times where I did various short-term jobs to stay alive, pay the rent. But
Of course, yeah.
last year, I ended up doing an okay number of gigs from the existing commitments, and I picked up a tour with Harvey's Hamburgers in the summertime.
Really?
Yes. Friend of mine who books, I appear with the Rogers Hometown Hockey every season, one or two
Oh yeah.
events, the traveling hockey circus that goes across Canada. So the guy that runs that got me to come and play at his private wedding postponement party. And he said, I just got this great contract with Harvey's Hamburgers. They're going to do a thank you tour with a burger wagon all across Canada to
Wow.
say thank you to the nurses and the essential workers that had to keep going through the pandemic shutdown. So I said, right. See if they need a guy who does what I do to come along. And he said, why didn't I think of this? So he went to the Harvey's people. They said, oh, we have to make this happen. The guy from Coney Hatch, April Wine, and the Guess Who. Okay. We don't have the money, but we'll find the money. So,
Great.
so
That's great.
I was there they set up a little sun, what do you call it? The 4 posted things with a top where you stand out of the sun.
Basically
A what?
a tent.
We'll call it a tent with no sign. Just proper name.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so yes, they set that up next to the burger wagon. So it was a whole string of one-dayers, me doing my solo acoustic thing while the people lined up for their burgers and me, chatting them all up. And welcome to your Harvey's Hamburger experience, ladies and gentlemen. But why is Harvey's doing this? Because Harvey loves you.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Have gig, will travel.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's a blessing to play these days. It really is.
It is. It is.
Really
So what
is.
does 2022 look like for you? What do you think? Anything sort of on the horizon?
Well, I'm supposed to have another album done with my German friend Robbie to follow up on the Unbroken album. Which,
Exciting.
yes, which I'm looking forward to that because, yes, the results were among the best work of my life on that last
Sure.
album.
Yeah.
People rush out and buy it quick.
Absolutely.
Great.
So that is on the horizon. That'll be work over the winter, I guess, to put that together. I've got my part-time show called Carl Dixon Sings the Guess Who. We have a string of theater dates in December with that. I've got Bill Wallace, who was the co-writer of some of the songs.
Oh,
Sure, yeah.
And
Clap for the Wolfman and all those good hits.
Yeah, yes. He replaced Jim Cale twice in the Guess Who.
That's right.
So, as a little aside, Brent, you might enjoy this. We did a gig in Winnipeg that Cale set up, and we got Bill and Jim onto the stage together for the first time in their lives.
Oh,
Last
that's
Wow,
amazing.
that's cool.
And they were just so excited about it. It
I
was-
bet.
I love both those guys, and of course, I'm biased being from Winnipeg, but Jim is rock star hero to me. Although he's semi-retired, he's a cool man, and he played all the right notes. Him and Bill, there's a pretty good legacy of bass playing on those.
Oh
records.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
Bill is in this band with me as well
That's
as as well as Lori. Oh my God, why did I just forget his name? Because I got so excited about the other guys.
Laurie McKenzie? Yeah.
Scottish
Laurie,
name.
Laurie McKenzie.
McKenzie, thank you. Laurie McKenzie. Sorry,
You know
Laurie.
that Laurie McKenzie and I played in Street Heart with Kenny Shields for a short while too.
Did you?
Wow.
Trivia. Yes, we did. I go way back with Laurie. I love Laurie.
Yeah. So we're great friends, great partners
Great
in
players.
this band.
Yeah.
And Mark Santer, who I mentioned earlier from Santers, is the drummer in it.
On drums, big
We
fan.
have
Yeah.
had a few different keyboard players. They're interesting characters, keyboard players. It's hard for me to find one that I relate to, but I finally have. So we've got something to settle on now. So we've got shows for that in December, a string of one-nighters in Ontario theaters, and then some of those into next year as well. I just love singing that music, you know. I sing 2 hours straight of all the Guess Who songs. I learned them anyway when I was in the band, so I figured might as well keep singing them if people want to hear it.
You sound great singing those songs, though. It's a very specific,
sure.
you know, it's a very specific kind of voice, and your voice really melds well with that stuff.
Oh, thank you. It was, you know, it's what I listened to.
Amazing
growing up.
the different styles of voice that you do have, because you actually do a country song or two.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, who's this singing? And I'm like, what? That's Carl DIXON? You got all this like country twang going on and resonance, and then you sing so high, and it's like, wow.
And the
Can you-
blues
can you-
inflection,
anything
though,
you
I
can
think. Yeah, and the blues, you know, singing the blues in there.
Yeah.
Got that.
You know what? It's all different bags. And Carlos Santana had a great quote that I like to remind myself of. He said, whatever style of music you're playing, whether it's rock, jazz, country, samba, polka, whatever, that's just the glass that the drink is being poured into. What's significant is what you put in that glass from you.
Right.
That's very
That's good,
interesting. Yeah.
Mhm.
Totally.
Hey, so we have to talk
I've
about
had a
your
blast
book,
today.
too.
This has been awesome, Carl.
Can we plug the book, Strange Way to Live?
Oh,
Yes.
Everyone's got to read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't read
Absolutely.
it yet. I can't wait to, though.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you a quick funny story about that book. It's about 85 to 90,000 words. I had written 180,000 words, and I didn't think I was done. And the
Wow.
publisher said, Carl, we have to cut this down. It'll be the length of War and Peace if we print what you've written. So they helped. The editor's function was to help me cut great swaths out of the stories, and I said, but how's that going to work? And he said, well, I'll still keep the Carlness of it, but we just have to find a way to make the stories shorter and have less of them. So
Wow. I always wondered about
Once
that.
you get me going, you can't shut me up. So that comes up with what too.
Sequel.
Oh,
Time
man.
for a sequel book.
Yeah.
Time for a sequel. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Well, that was honestly, that was one of the most inspirational conversations. Well, it's the most inspirational conversation we've ever had on this gathering of humans, for sure.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Thanks so much for that.
Thank you so much for
Thank
that.
you so much.
Well, I
We're
like
so
you.
lucky.
Please play with us, Carl, when we come to Toronto. We haven't played
Yeah.
Toronto yet. It's on the,
Okay.
you know, we're dying to as soon as we can get that happening. We probably would have played in 2020 in Toronto, but we'll just
Well,
hope
we
for
play
the
we play a ton of Canadian bands in our show, and the one that we've always sort of skipped over for no reason other than just trying to like find 4 guys to agree on which song to play is Coney Hatch. And
Oh, and I
Eddie
got
Trunk,
we can never agree.
I got
Eddie
one.
Trunk, who we're seeing tonight for dinner, is like, how are you not playing any Coney Hatch? He's like immediately yelling at us all the time.
We all have different songs that we want to play. And we
Well,
can't
I
agree.
got one. I got one, though.
Which one?
What?
We needed a fast one, right?
We got the night. Okay.
Oh, we got the night. Yeah,
This
yeah.
is what we need in our set.
Be careful. The YouTube.
Yeah, right.
The
YouTube
boss
copywriters
is
will
gonna
shut
us
us down.
Well, they would have shut your
Obvious
asses down.
I got to tell you that my favorite song is "She's Gone" because it helped me go through a really terrible breakup when I was 12 years old.
Well,
Oh, that sounds rough. We should probably, you know what? This has been really inspirational, Carl, but let's listen to this fucking story.
yeah, come on, Corey.
Let me tell you
Dole
about
that one out.
it. Let me tell you about it.
Okay, well, look, if you come to play, I'm there. Just give me some heads up so I can book the night off.
Done. It'll be done. We shall make it happen. We'd love to have you.
Okay.
Devil's
Well,
deck.
gentlemen, and everybody that hung out, it's like, thank you so much for hanging out. I'm glad you got a lot. It seems like everybody got a lot out of that out of this hang as well.
Totally.
So I really enjoyed that. I'm so happy that all four of us are here today.
Nope. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one, but
okay.
Johnny wants to read your book.
Thank you, Johnny. Johnny's been.
Oh.
There it is. Thanks so much for another fantastic show. I love and appreciate you all. Thank you, Chantel.
There's
Thanks,
been a lot of
everybody. You
people
guys
from
are
all over the
awesome.
world. In case you don't know,
Yes, again.
Carl, like we have friends from England here and South America, and it's probably Australia. I mean, it's crazy.
I know.
Great.
It's
Well,
a nice
Japanese
place.
are starting to wake up now.
Yep.
This was
Yep.
so much fun. Thanks for bringing me in on your show, guys.
Anytime. We'll do it again sometime.
Okay.
Not only will there be part two of Unbroken, part 2 of the book, part 2 of Toque Talk with Carl DIXON. See, it never ends. We keep rolling it out.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. Big love to everybody, and thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Love you
All right,
all.
guys.
Love
Thank
you,
you.
Carl.
See you
Thank
next
you, man.
time.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Carl.
You're awesome.